You know the exact feeling, the exhaustion of an endless scroll in a dark room, the low-grade anxiety humming in the background, and the inescapable fear of missing out. The psychological toll of digital burnout is universally understood, yet the path out is often misunderstood. The prevailing assumption is that fixing this requires extreme measures. People believe they have to throw their devices away, go completely off the grid, and isolate themselves for months to see any real mental health benefits. But this visualization maps out clinical data from over 8,000 participants, and it tells a very different story. When that massive dataset funnels into a compressed timeline, it triggers sharply rising recovery trends. Those lines isolate specific metrics, showing rapid, measurable spikes in life satisfaction, functional mental health, and sleep quality. To get those results, we have to map out the two clinically proven paths for a detox: total abstinence and behavioral modification. We also need to expose how specific platforms act as unique psychological triggers. Mental health recovery in the digital age relies entirely on administering the precise, short-term digital dosage required to reset your brain. The reason these short interventions work comes down to severing a very specific psychological engine. The benefits are primarily driven by the sudden drop in chronic social comparisons, stopping the habit of measuring your real life against idealized, fragmented avatars. This flowchart reveals how that comparison engine is platform-specific. Stepping away from TikTok and Twitter exerts the strongest effect on clinical symptoms, driving down depression metrics by 2.2 points and anxiety by 1.7 points. When you sever those connections entirely and initiate a total system blackout, you enter Path A, total abstinence. This is the aggressive protocol. For populations exhibiting elevated psychopathology and high clinical stress, complete abstinence stands alone in the data. It is the only tested intervention potent enough to significantly reduce internalizing symptoms. Curiously, participants going through total abstinence often rate the experience as less helpful than guided use. The sudden stop creates an intense, visceral friction of early withdrawal, making it highly uncomfortable for the user in the moment. Enduring that initial psychological withdrawal forces the system to reboot, acting as the thorough cleanse required to eradicate severe clinical symptoms. However, if your primary antagonists are fear of missing out, a lack of deep sleep, or general loneliness, rather than clinical depression, absolute zero is not your only option. This interface illustrates Path B, behavioral modification. Specifically, it locks on to the clinically tested 30-minute daily limit rule. By utilizing this highly targeted restriction, the pulsing lines show exactly where the benefits flow. A 30-minute cap uniquely reduces feelings of isolation and improves sleep architecture, all while allowing you to maintain your real-world supportive relationships. Whichever path you choose, the first few days feel exactly like this. The physical urge to reach out and check a glowing screen is intense. That hesitation and phantom vibration is a scientifically documented adjustment period. Feeling that friction is proof that the habit loop is breaking, not a sign of personal weakness. Calculated, strategic restriction provides a sustainable, long-term weapon against modern digital isolation. The ultimate goal of these interventions is finding the Goldilocks effect, the state where digital connection no longer compromises functional mental peace. When you hit that balance, cognitive resources free up. The hours you reclaim from the time run are immediately available to be redirected into tangible, meaningful social interactions. But this line graph tracks a major statistical trap: the post-detox binge. There is a high risk of users sharply spiking their screen time the exact moment their 14-day intervention concludes. Surviving that dangerous reentry phase requires specific mental armor. Researchers point to adopting a strict mantra of progress rather than demanding absolute perfection. The data highlights two specific applications. You can deploy the 1 to 2 week total fast to aggressively combat clinical anxiety and depression, or apply the 30-minute limit to cure sleep debt and dismantle FOMO. Select your specific route today. Brace yourself for the inevitable friction of the first 48 hours and initiate your tailored protocol tomorrow morning. Actively engineering your digital dosage ensures you reclaim your psychological autonomy from the algorithms designed to harvest it.